Welcome to join me on my bicycle tour through Sweden in the summer of 2018. I started in Trelleborg, went over Ystad and Simrishamn to Karlshamn, to Karlskrona and on to Kristianopel, then up to Kalmar and then up to Oskarshamn. A ferry took me to Gotland. This is an island. You go further to the northern island of Farö and down via Slite, Ljugarn, Östergarn to Burgsvik, around the south end and then up to Visby again. The ferry took me back to Oskarshamn and then to Püxelkrok on the island of Öland. I went down in zigzag to Bornholm and then to the southern end via Ottenby and back up to Färjestaden, with a ferry to Kalmar and then with a train to Växjö and then via Höör and Lund and Malmö to Trelleborg. Welcome to the second part of my bicycle tour around Gotland. The 8th day started with a ship cruise from Oskarshamn to Visby. On the way, the island of the Blue Virgin, Blue Jungfrun, and after 3.5 hours, Visby came into view. Visby is the capital of Gotland. But this was not the end of the day. I drove on for further 70 kilometers via Stenskyrka and then up to the north in Hallshuk and then down to Kappelhamn camping lot. Here I drive along the city walls of the UNESCO heritage of Visby. Already north of Visby, and then I was already on the Gotlandsleden, which is a way for cycles around the island of Gotland. Going north towards Hallshuk. What you see here is the Fisher Museum of Hallshuk and the harbor of Hallshuk. The first 10 kilometers from Hallshuk till Kappelhamn were on a gravel road along a wonderful sea. Then I was on an asphalted road again and further on the camping lot of Kappelhamn. Day number 9 brought me around the lake of Bestedresk and then with a ferry over to the island of Farö. I reached the most northern point of the whole journey and then I went down to the camping lot of Solhaga. Whole Gotland is a big limestone rock, and of course limestone is something you can build something with or you can export. Therefore there are a lot of factories for limestones around. And my way didn't just pass one, it went through one. And the limestone is transported with ships. Here you see the Bestedresk lake. 500 meters behind me is already the sea. If in Sweden it's not worth building a bridge, they have yellow ferries. And since the ferry is a kind of street, it's free to use. You just go on the ferry and take it. No payment at all. This is a house for sheep, and what you see here is a wonderful, narrow and hardly frequented street from Laute through the nature preserve of Digerhuvud to the Raukars of Laute. Here you see Raukars. These are limestone formations in the sea, just made by wind and sea and water. Here an old fisher village. I'm driving on the road to Skärändan, which is pretty much the northernmost point of my whole journey. Here stands my bike at Skärändan, the northern point. This is Farö, and this sign shows you the most southern and most northern point of Gotland. This is the camping lot of Solhaga. Day 10 brings me through half of the length of Gotland. I go from the island of Farö via Slite to Kappelhamn and then to Östergarn. That's a view from my head end to the foot end of my tent. On the right side are my bags. I love ferries, so I take this one back from Farö to Gotland. The museum in Bunge was closed, so I took a look at the church. This is the entry of this church, and the church is wonderful with very old paintings. And here you see on the right side also a Raukar on the inland. Shortly before reaching Slite, there is a big limestone quarry. And then it goes on southwards towards Kappelhamn and Östergarn. Kappelhamn has a very nice bay where you can sit and watch. And on the other side of this peninsula you have Östergarn with Sandviken camping and a wonderful beach, and 2 pink buses came and people tried to erect tents on the roof. Day number 11 led me down to the most southern point of whole Gotland at Hoburgen and back to Burgsvik again, where my camping lot was. The old fisher village of Vitver. On my way was the church of Eke. I was amazed by the wonderful paintings on the inside and the baptizing stone from the 11th century. What a great vacation! Driving in the sun, in dry weather, in warm temperatures. This was so cool! A few kilometers further there's the church of Grötlingsbo with the paintings at the ceiling. The last 10 kilometers to reach the south of Gotland at Hoburgen is the Bakkerweg till Hoburgen, and they belong to the most scenic routes I've seen on my bike tour. You have the sea on the right side and some rolling hills on the left. Now I have reached Hoburgen, the south of Gotland. Here's the way I just came, and now of course I deserve a coffee. On the way to Burgsvik. And this is the bay of Burgsvik camping, including a harbor. And I put up my tent and enjoyed the sunset. I fought already the strong headwind from Hoburgen till Burgsvik, and now I had it again the whole day from Burgsvik till Tofta Södra. Time for a coffee in the middle. Then about 15 kilometers on scenic roads. Suddenly my back wheel was rubbing on my mudguard, so I had to repair it and I had to bend the mudguard a little bit outward. I assembled everything and on it went. The road I was going on, hardly a car could be found. On the left side you see an island, Lilla Karlsö. I reached my 1000th kilometer on this tour and Tofta Södra beach. This is the beach of my camping lots and the sunset. The next day was planned to do sightseeing in Visby. This is the nicest part of cycling today. Most of the route to Visby was along heavy traffic roads. This is the cafe in the ruins of the St. Hans Church in Visby, where I took my coffee. Visby has a very long wall around the whole old city, which is 3.5 kilometers long. You can walk along there and discover within the walls a lot of wonderful old houses. Everything is very small. You also see a lot of ruins of old churches. They just didn't put them away. They are standing there and you can go in and visit. This is the church, the cathedral of St. Mary in the middle, which is still in use. This is again a part of the wall. Here is Fonsdal Museum with a wonderful collection of rune stones. This animation shows you how this runestone was looking in earlier times and how it degraded afterwards. The museum also exhibits a silver treasure of several thousand coins from Asia and all over Europe, which were found accidentally in 1999 by a school class. And they got to Gotland through trading, and they originate in the age of 7th to 9th century. Here the ruin of the church St. Karin, and here of St. Lars. Visby to stay, to eat, to see, and to enjoy. Day 14 brings me in 3.5 hours by ship from Gotland Island to the mainland of Sweden. Five o'clock in the morning along the city wall of Visby. You know me by now. I love going by ferries, and of course I love taking my bicycle and driving into one. Arrival in Oskarshamn, and in the waiting time a coffee and of course a kanelbulle. Join me on my travel on to Öland in part 3.